Okay, now that we're almost good, right? Well, that's, gonna be it from me. This is the last one. And it's a good old favourite of mine and Mark's and everybody's, by the sounds of it, you dirty bastards. And it's a bit of a techno touch on the old granny's fannies. So, let's take it away.
Fatties, I love her.
Tonight, old fanny, so tight. What a lot tight, obviously. It's old, isn't it? Past his sell by date. Granny's fannies, I love them.
Oh yeah, over 60.
Granny's fannies, ooh, so you can get right inside. It's gotta be
over 60. But I hate you, Matt Dobbs. I hate you, Matt Dobbs.
Octogenarian thought. Granny's fannies, ooh, so you can get right inside of. You've gotta be over 60. You're gifted, you're intelligent, you're lovely, and you're fun. But you're garish, you're an idiot, you're lacking in flint, and you're flatulent. I wish you would have went down the front as well at the back, I'll tell you that.
Granny's fannies, I love them. Granny's fannies, I love them.
Get right inside. It's gotta be over 60. Granny's fannies, I love them. Get right inside that palsy.
Might be a bit dry and you might have to spit on it, but yeah. Might be a bit dry and you might have to spit on it, but yeah.
It's gotta be over 60. 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 Well, I think we've set the standard there. And I hope the rest of this festival...
2 more days left! 2 more days left, today and tomorrow!
...is a lot fucking better.
Oh, it will be! It was, Matthew,
musically,
it was!
And content-wise. Than what we have witnessed here in this last 15-20 minutes, because that was horrendous. And if I have offended anybody, then you can
fuck off!
I don't care. Enjoy.
Granny's fannies, I love them. Gotta be over 60. Matt, I hate you so much. I hate you so much. This track is just, it's stuck in there like the worst fucking earworm I've ever heard in my life. I'll do some melodies in a minute and then we'll get on with the show. Granny's fannies, I love them. Granny's fannies, I love them.
Well, at their end of the extravaganza of techno by a gay club owner from the north of England.
Cunt.
Who likes pigeons, greyhounds, gambling, women, men,
boys. Anything
and
with a
anything
hole.
with a hole. So, thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Fucking cunt. Matt Dobbington's, Jesus Christ. Honestly, that track is stuck in everybody's head. Everybody has made fucking comments about that this week. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Right, let's do some hellos and then we'll get on with the show. Hello to Dean Daughters, Grey One, Benjamin the Quintus Sorensen, Sibby, Bad Badger, Verdroid, Synthetic, Jordan Williams, Hostapole, who we have a tour from, and My Manipulation. Who else we got in the building? Morgan Juniper, Cleonis Belcher. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm pretty sure I'm not. Danny Carnage is in the building as well. DJ Mark Puke is in the building. Elsa's in the building, and so is Tollington. All right, okay. So do you know what this day is all about? Do you know what this day is all about? I know what this day is all about. This day is one of my favorite days because we get to see the producers in their own environment, and we get to hear them talking, and they show us around their space, which means it brings us a little bit more closer together as a family, which we definitely 100% are. If you haven't liked and shared the stream already, what the fuck is your problem? Get on it. Do it now. So first up this evening, we have Adam Malcolm. And he is going to show us around his studio space. Really actually interested in this one. Adam forgot to say when he did the tour that he had a helicopter crash. I don't know the ins and outs of the helicopter crash, but the helicopter crash left him in a wheelchair and only able to use one hand. And this guy still produces music. And this is why I think it's really fucking important for him to get a studio tour in to show you guys that, you know, obstacles can be overcome and, you know, and like things can be done. So, you know, but yeah, this is the studio tour day. And hold on a minute. Let me just get that up. There we go. This space belongs to Adam Malcolm. And this guy's been like, he sent me a message the other day, yesterday in fact, and he was like, fuck me, this has been going for 6 years. I'm like, yeah, it really has been going for 6 years. He's like, I think I was one of the original people to pop in. I'm like, you absolutely were one of the original people to pop in. And he still pops in, like, you know, from time to time. I get that people have got shit to do and places to be and stuff, and, you know, so it's not always possible for people to be in, you know, 100% of the time. Unlike Dean Daughters, who is in the place literally every fucking week. The man is an absolute powerhouse. He really is. Don't forget, Dean Daughters has got a showcase on, I think it's the 24th of September, 23rd, 24th of September, and I am involved in that. I will be doing something with the Beast. New tracks are coming for this. So thank you very much, Dean Daughters, for pushing me as the same way as I push every other artist out there. Shall we rock into the first studio tour? It's only a quick one. It's only 3 minutes long, but I think this is a really important studio tour. Really, really important studio tour. Shall we?
Hello, James. I'm Adam Malcolm, and Mark's tried to get me to do a studio tour for years now.
Yeah, I have.
Who the hell am I? Well, I've been here since about 5 years ago in the URL.
I think it's even longer than that, Adam.
So, not far from the beginning.
Literally.
Who am I? I'm a guy who used to be an aerial photographer. I was in a helicopter crash.
Ah, there we go.
And now I can't play guitar anymore, so I play Sims. And I have too many of them. Most
This
of
is
them
true.
This studio is more like, you know how you would pick up a guitar and just jam? That's kind of what I'm going for here. It's not producing and recording, it's just a release, a bit like a sensory room in an audio sense.
That's how I feel about DJing. DJing is a release. Writing music and playing music live is completely different. While you're DJing, you've got like 3 or 4 minutes to fanny around in the mix and stuff, and you know, and and then you've got 5 minutes of doing absolutely nothing. Whereas doing this kind of stuff, it's second by second. I have to be aware of everything that's going on second to second. So I'm glad that Adam feels this way about making music.
Something to take my mind off the bullshit. Right, here's the Electron setup.
I hate Electron.
Got the Octatrack, the Digitone keys, the analog keys, Digitact, Syntact, analog rhythm, and
That's the same, people.
And then a Polybrute. And this thing's amazing. This was actually going to be Mr. Wiggly's at one point.
No way.
Yeah. Look at this. It's amazing. All goes up to a Tascam Model 12 and out to these speakers. Whole keyboard collection. We've got a OB6 and a Prophet 6.
Oh, Adam's got some fucking gorgeous kit.
Minimum Voyager Electric Blue.
Oh my god, oh my
Two
god. I'm not
Voyager.
saying that's my dream synth, but that is my dream fucking synth.
The old Sub 37 and then a spaceship. Moog 1. It is literally like taking off a space shuttle. Obviously none of this is in the arrangement that I want it. It's all to be worked out at the minute. Right, now the Euro rack. There is something that's mostly the mutable instruments and some IntelliJo. And then the AJH system, which is basically a mini Moog system made in England. And over here we've got an Akai Force, Vermona drum, Vermona performer, a Mini Moog Voyager RME, Voyager number 2, and then a little bit of modular. This is just a setup I'm trying to figure out at the minute. And there's the view out the window. Bit of pitching shit on window.
You sound so northern, Adam. I didn't expect that.
20 float stores up here.
That would shit me right up. I'm shit scared of
Highest
heights.
studio in the URL.
Thank you so much, Adam, for actually getting a tour in. And you do not have too much kit, mate. You've got just enough kit to make just about whatever fucking music you want. It would be great to hear some actual music from you in the coming year. But thank you so much for your studio tour. Like I say, just a short one. But yeah, I think Adam Malcolm's is one of the most important tours that you're going to see. Like I say, helicopter crash left him a little bit immobilized, and the guy is still rocking out music. So thank you so much, Adam. And yes, you can now go to sleep. I believe our next tour is from Synth Addict. Yes, indeed. Let me just change this over here.
Hey clowns, how's it going? This is Synth Addict here. It's been kind of a crazy week, so the studio tour is a little more sparse than I had planned. Took a while to get some stuff sorted and cleaned up, so it's a little more presentable than normal. It's always, things are changing and getting moved around, as you can imagine, with most studios. I'll do a quick setup of all the gear, and I'll show you the workflow, how it's plugged in with the
See, we see this. We don't see this guy. We see this guy's hands week in, week out. We see this guy's hands week in, week out. But we never know what they sound like, what they look like. You know, is this what you expected? Is it not what you expected? Like, you know, it brings us closer as producers and humans, and shows us more a side of like the human element of these people. And that is exactly why I love doing this kind of thing. Synthetic, take it away. This one is a long tour, so it's half an hour long. So I'm going to disappear, and you shall listen to the Synthetic.
Dark Time, great little analog sequencer designed around the old kind of Tangerine Dream style Berlin School. Lots of different options in there with toggle switches. And I had to throw this one in there for the UK folks. This is the aptly named Time Tosser. So haven't used it much yet, but it's mainly an audio effects device, essentially. Kind of a stutter, live stutter edit and looper kind of tool. Micro Freak.
I want a Time Tosser, Synthetic. If you're in the building, what is the Time Tosser like?
X Station 25, one of my first Novation products ever. I love this thing. Nova engine, insane control surface, had an audio interface, had the whole works as far as templates for, you know, VSTs and stuff, all on the go. Battery operated, joystick, XY pad, beautiful aftertouch on it. Akai Force, enough said about that. You guys all know what that is, especially if you're an NPC user. Sonics, classical, crappy analog.
Okay, so we've got two differing opinions there. Dean says you would love the Time Tosser, I have one.
Roland
And
JDXI,
Synthetic says Time Tosser is
classic,
okay, not
supernatural
awesome.
sound engine, analog engine, built-in effects. I've done a lot of tracks on my channel. Just using this alone is like a challenge. How much can you build with just this guy? And everyone was built with just one except for my Tangerine Dream Love and the Real Train track. I had to get the white one because if you guys know, the standard one is black with red writing, which is impossible to read in low light. And black shiny surface is a magnet for greasy fingerprints, so it just becomes a big mess. Nice little DX7 artwork I got from a friend a long time ago, so it goes into DX7s. Kind of fun. Rolly Seaboard Rise 25, the first Rolly I bought. I have several of them, but this one's just has all the great controls you expect from the Rolly. Has again short keypad, but 5Ds of touch are all there. Battery operated, Bluetooth wireless, flawless with Mac OS and with iOS. But of course, Windows Bluetooth MIDI is basically non-existent. And it still competes with the Osmos as far as I'm concerned, but the Osmos is good. I'll get one of those pretty soon. Underneath there's a cajon that I got, which actually has.
Dean, that's why this tour is half an hour long. Like, this guy has just about everything. I mean, we see him week in, week out using the machine, but he's got so much kit.
And this one has the knob with the snare you can turn on and off, so you can get the snare sound or the hollow sound if you want, which is really cool. A couple rack units, Yamaha A3000 sampler, classic Kurzweil rack, based on the K1000 series from the K250 in the 80s, and this weird PV sample playback unit. Arturia Mini Brute, really nice Steiner Parker filter, had aftertouch keypad, MIDI transmit to other things, engine obviously is monophonic, but had a really nice mixer from a single oscillator. You get all these different waveforms, and then you have like the metalizer, and you have the all kinds of other cool things to just give a lot of different sounds. The problem with this one is they use that kind of rubber surface that gets sticky, so over time it's a little bit sticky, so you have to use isopropanol to rub all that stuff off, and then it's much better. Just found this the other day. Shout out to Sound Source. My friend Manny Fernandez used to do some sound design for them. Classic high quality patches. I'm not sure if he worked on this model of this series of patches, but he's done a lot for the SY77, SY99, DX7, all that kind of stuff. So classic old thing. And this is actually a cassette in here. I think it's 2 cassettes, so you have to load it that way, which is pretty funny. Base Station 2, another Innovation Classic. This one now has the Aphex mode, the Aphex Twin mode, where you can, instead of just being a monophonic thing, you can actually fire off different settings and make it feel more dynamic than usual. It's a very nice unit. Has a wasp-like filter in it, because this was designed by Christopher Huggett before he died, and rest in peace. Hydrosynth 49, the first one that came out. The only problem with this guy is it's missing release velocity, which is unfortunate because MPE kind of requires that as one of its full complements. So it's not 100% MPE, but otherwise it's an amazing synth, and the new updates have made it even crazier. Go look on their website and see what they've done to it. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. X Station, again, this is the 49 key version. So I was saying before, the 25 is limiting, but you know what? You got a lot of stuff you can do with this guy. Studio Logic Sledge, an Italian company with use the Waldorf wavetables. You got sampling in here and VA synthesis all in one package with the kind of reverse keys here, which is really nice. Let's see, Quasi-MIDI Raven goes into dance music. This is very popular when it came out. They had Revolution 309. The keyboard version of that is called the Sirius. I have it over there just kind of packed up so you can't see it very well, but they made a lot of great stuff. Another product they made was the Polymorph. Klaus Schultz supposedly had about 8 of these in a rack for live performances. Quite impressive. Lots of complex arpeggiators and other interesting stuff on here. Cool little unit. This one's pretty funny. This is Timbaland Miko. So Open Labs made several versions of this architecture. This one was supposedly endorsed by Timbaland. There was sound sets on there, samples he approved. using the Emu soft tools like the Proteus software and a bunch of other plugins on here. This is running Windows XP on a Core 2 Duo Windows system, so quite old these days, but it still works great. You might have to swap out the spinning hard drive for an SSD, but otherwise it works pretty well. You got your control surface, your keyboard, your touch mouse, nice audio interface from PreSonus, and a keyboard that's decent on here. But some people are modding them. There's a Facebook group to mod them and change out the motherboard, add a new operating system for modern tools, but I just kept it the same. But it's fun. V-Synth is one of my favorites of all time. This is actually something like that. It's like my avatar for my Synthetic channel on YouTube. But Elastic Audio, Time Trip Pad, D-Beam, great control surface. This one has a non-color screen. The XT rack version had a color screen, and the built-in D50 and voice cards, which you actually had to add in here with the PCMCIA. V-Synth GT is basically two of these in a keyboard, so it's consequently much more expensive, but they're all really nice. Casio Privia 320. I just got this as a 88 key weighted controller for Ivory and some other stuff I was doing at the time. But it's a nice little control surface for stuff. The sounds in it are decent, but they're dated, so I didn't bother getting a new one, but the new ones do feel better and sound better. Just a quick tour through these guys on the side here. Alesis Ion VA. Pretty interesting little VA. The mini one's called the Micron. Actually had some more features that the Ion doesn't have, even though the Ion looks fancier. Record custom controller with all kinds of goodies. And Sonic Fismo, Transwave synth, very unusual. There are other Transwave synths in the series, but this one has its own custom sets that can't be modified, but they're quite interesting. There's a new editor called FAUXMO, F-A-U-X-M-O, that lets you edit the crap out of this thing. Whereas you're kind of limited in editing before they came out with that, because it's an older keyboard, but an interesting one for sure. And Sonic SQ80, this is also another Transwave synth. It's basically the sequel to the ESQ1, which is a really nice, kind of like a poor man's PPG wave, as they call it. Really easy to edit, nice sequencer, basically like a tiny workstation, but it's really capable, and they just came out with a version of it on the Arturia collection if you want to try it out and you don't want to buy it. Sequential Max. So this is in the 80s when they started to go computerized a little bit, interfacing with a computer. So the editing is very minimal on it because you're supposed to hook it to a computer with MIDI and do all your editing with it. Well, the software is very old, you need an old Mac to use it. So basically, I was just going to enjoy the sounds on it because it's really nice analog sounds on it. But there's an iOS app that uses it controls this and the 6-track, which is a similar architecture, and basically gives a whole new life to this guy without having to use a computer, just your iPad and really easy touch editing. So that's a whole new blessing for this guy. Roland System 8. So this had all the plug outs. So you had the Jupiter 8 and the SH101, System 100, ProMars, all that good stuff. Really worth getting just for those plug outs. But the new digital synth on it is quite nice as well. Keyboard is terrible, but otherwise it's a nice keyboard. Ensoniq Mirage. This is the one that started all for Ensoniq. Really old school sampling, lo-fi, hexadecimal editing. Just crazy little box. I saw this in high school and just was blown away by it. And it still holds up. It has a real grungy sound, but it's a lot of fun, a lot of character. Later on, they came out with the EPS, the original EPS. So this one is really interesting. They have probably the first polyphonic aftertouch keybed when this came out, which is crazy because it went away for a while and now it's back, and the Hydrasynth and all the new MPE kind of stuff is doing that now. Moog Etherwave Theremin. So this is the non-control voltage one. There's an upgrade pack for it, and all the new ones do that automatically. But Theremin has built-in MIDI, but I had a hack many years ago to make this MIDI through a weird little box. But a lot of fun, classic Theremin. control and tone, but as a MIDI controller, it's fun when you add stuff to it. On top, just an old Roland TD6 brain I used to plug into an old controller that I had that was terrible. It had a really bad brain, and I kind of hacked it to work with this brain. Some decent V drum sounds on it. Speaking of V drums, behind me is TD17 KVX, fairly recent Roland system, and I added an extra pad to it there, but it's essentially really nice. Mesh heads, chokeable cymbals, all that good stuff. So I just have to practice it so I can learn how to play it. But it's very cool, and because it's MIDI out and has an SD card on the brain, you can basically put any sounds you want into it and don't have to use a computer, which is really nice. Next to it is the SP1200 recreation by Isla Instruments called the S2400, which does a whole lot more than the SP1200 did. Built like a tank, it keeps updating it, there's all kinds of fun stuff with it. Really nice, but really well built, and has a lo-fi and the high quality mode, so you can, if you're a hip-hop guy, you can use the lower quality one for effect. Then my theremin corner has some guitars here. An old Stratocaster cheap one. That's my first guitar I bought. This is the Casio PG380. It's an Ibanez body with a MIDI out and a built-in VZ Casio synth brain, and they can all go at the same time. So guitar, MIDI, and synth brain out, and it tracks very well, especially considering it came out in the 80s. That's kind of fun. I'm gonna have some electrics, effects modules down there. They're good for sound design and weird stuff. Then I got the M-Audio Venom. A lot of people hate this thing, but it's kind of wild. It has some crazy sounds in it. You can still pick them up pretty cheap, but it was kind of unfinished as far as the software editing goes. But on board, it does quite a bit of stuff, especially if you like noisy, grungy, 9 Inch Nails, Skinny Puppy, and all kinds of stuff like that. It's pretty wild. OB12, so Viscount got the rights to make this using the Oberheim label, and it's a VA, and it looks kind of Oberheim-y, but it's not Oberheim. It just uses the name. It sounds quite nice, but a lot of people hate it because it has the Oberheim name, but it's not really Oberheim. It's a Yamaha SY77, nice mix of samples and FM synthesis. Very good stuff. Okay, over here we have a bunch of stuff on a rack. This is the Kurzweil K2000. So this came out after the original classic Kurzweil series. Vast architecture, VAST, really clever emulation of all kinds of synthesis types. Hard to program, but has a lot of classic sounds from that time period. Later Tangerine Dream, Robert Miles' Children was made with this. You hear all the presets all over the place. It's pretty popular when it came out. Then they have a physical modeling synth by Techniques, of all companies. They made turntables and all that. WSA1, crazy control surface, little ball controllers of various kinds. It's a digital synth that lets you do things with, like, make things more woody, make things more metallic, mixing stuff, samples in different ways to do different things. Kind of like a Yamaha VL, which is just much better. But they're also super rare and very expensive. This is just kind of a fun experiment. Companies like Aodio is doing stuff like this now with the Anima Phi, N-Omega, and the Sophia Wind controller. So physical modeling is kind of slowly coming back. Then I have some other racks. This is the final EPS sampler that came out from Ensoniq before they got swallowed by EMU. EPS 16 Plus. Same basic specs with a couple extra goodies that the Emax 2 had from EMU. This one also has built-in effects, which is nice. And transwaves, all that good stuff. Below that's Muse Receptor. Back when people wanted a more rugged PC, they could load their VSTs into this that were authorized, take it on the road as a really hardened computer. You could use a monitor, mouse, keyboard, but it wasn't as fragile as a typical PC. Interesting little device. Just some other stuff. The Arch Dr. T effects, EMU Carnival custom module of some of their samples for Latino and Carnival type sounds. And you got Emax 1, the original, actually not, just called the Emax. And it's the original Emax sampler that has analog filters compared to the Emax 2's digital filters. It had kind of a lo-fi quality compared to the Emax 2. And then below that is the MR76, and Sonic had a few other things that came out before they rolled up into EMU. It's they basically put a lot of different ethnic sounds in here. They were upgrade cards for it with like type of drums and African stuff. Really high quality samples mixed with synthesis as well as some of the trans waves. Then we'll head over here to the main part of the room here. There's a Mackie mixer, 24 track. I've been using this for a long time. It's the main controller. All the submixers feed into here. I'll show you the submixers at the end so you see how it's routed. On top is the TC Helicon Voice Live 2, an amazing vocal processor. You can do similar stuff like Imogen Heap did with Hide and Seek, with layering vocals into a choir, like 8-voice choir, or playing polyphonic voices of your own voice with MIDI control. Really interesting stuff. Corgo 1W, my first really nice romper that I like a lot, and it just sounds amazing. Even Jean-Michel Jarre used a lot of his stuff. And then you have the Korg Z1. So this one has similar features to the Prophecy, but Prophecy's more of a guitar style. You could make it a guitar. It's just a more portable version. And it's this has, you can control like horn fall offs and all kinds of clever physical modeling stuff, similar to like I mentioned on the WSA1, but just a different approach. Classic Akai AX80. So analog synth, digital control, same time period roughly as the Juno 6, Juno 60. DCO analog. I like this one more in some ways. It's a mono out actually, but look at that bar graph, luminescent bar graph controls. Everything is right in front of you, no menu diving. It's really interesting to edit and play with. Nice kind of grungy sounds on here. And this little rack here with the Kawai K5000 additive synthesizer. Really wild, hard as hell to edit, but it makes some really impressive sounds. Then the Casio VZ10M. This is the one that was the brain inside the Ibanez guitar, sold by Casio, that I showed you earlier. You could program it in here and then dump the card into the guitar for mobile use. And then you got the TX16W Yamaha sampler. Hard to use until you do this Typhoon OS on it, but it's interesting for the time period. Then my original Emax 2, had this since college. Love this thing. Again, not as many bells and whistles as the EPS 16 Plus, but I chose this one over that one because I was just an EMU fan from the beginning, just the sound quality and the user interface and stuff. And then I have some rack effects down here, Ensoniq DP4, Elisa Sakira, Lexicon Vortex, all kinds of weird stuff in here. It's kind of wild stuff. And then I have the Yamaha AN1X analog, virtual analog, basically really nice controls on the side here, a color-coded ribbon controller, very, very nice analog sounds out of this guy. The editing on the side is pretty terrible, so it's better to use a computer editor if you do deep editing. Then I have this weird Arabic controller that I got. It has a European power supply, so it's 220 volts, and it just has really nice microtonal keyboard in there, and lots of Arabic instruments and stuff. A lot of fun to use. And then Polyevolver from Dave Smith. When he wasn't using the name Sequential, he had DSI for a while, Dave Smith Instruments. So this had the Mofo, the Polyevolver, the Evolver, Prophet 8, and the Tetra. And this is just, it looks amazing, it sounds amazing. You got basically 2 digital, 2 analog oscillators, 4 voice polyphony, just a wicked machine, just really a lot of fun. Then you got a Matrix Brute from Arturia, Steiner Parker filter, which for a long time until the Mini Brute came out, you couldn't get it without buying a Steiner Parker Synthicon, which is super rare and expensive. So this also has a ladder filter in it, which is nice. So they're a lot of fun. This is just my ATEM Mini controller. that I use for podcasts and stuff. And of course on top is the worst drum machine ever made, this little Sony drum machine. It's pretty funny. Then little SP404, my first SP404. We have the compact flash card in it, and Mr. Bill. So, hi, Mr. Bill. Then I got the Roland PG300 on top of the Roland Alpha Juno. DC analog. So it's digital controlled, still sounds great. Beautiful pads on here and sound effects and stuff. It's a lot of fun. Then I got the Korg DSS-1, kind of like a Korg flagship sampler from the 80s, used by tons of famous bands. Kind of a chore to edit, but the sound quality is unparalleled for the time. And then you have the Yamaha EX5. This is kind of encompasses all the best of Yamaha stuff at the time it came out, minus direct FM, like 6 operator programming. There's a module inside to do some kind of FM effects on it, but it's not like a typical dedicated FM. So if you wanted that, you still have to have a DX7 with it to get that effect. But it's an amazing giant 76 key keypad. Sounds amazing. Roland W30, which is the Roland S50, S550 sampler inside of a workstation. Limited memory, but it could do quite a bit for the time. It sounds great. JP8000 from Roland. The original Super Saw synth. All the trance guys went nuts for this. It's a lot of fun. And the D50 with the PG1000 controller, one of my favorites. If you know D50, you know what I'm talking about. Even Jean-Michel Jarre made an entire album with pretty much mostly D50 on it. JD800 came later. Higher quality than the D50, but also very different. In some ways maybe too clean, if you like the kind of the warmer sound that came out of the D50. But the cool thing about this is I think it's one of the last of this time period that had high quality sounds in it. It actually had 16-bit 44 kilohertz samples in it, whereas a lot of later Roland stuff had compressed sounds in it. So this does sound really nice. Next to it is Waldorf Microwave XT, and this particular module has that thing where the UV light or the bright lights actually change the color of the orange from a light orange to this kind of dark orange. But really nice wavetable synth, all digital, but lots of motion and lots of crazy timbres that you expect out of a wavetable synth. And over here we got a few racks. Matrix 6 from Oberheim, Ultra Proteus from Emu, some other Emu samplers, classic Kurzweil stuff in here, even the Kurzweil 2500, so the sequel to the 2000 I showed you on the keyboard over there. And this is a Korg M1 EX, so the slightly expanded M1, and the nice little micro Q from Waldorf. With it's the miniature version of the Q keyboard, similar to the Microwave XT. Also bold designs from Axel Hartmann, so very colorful. And you got this terrible guy down here, the Rhythm Wolf. I've said enough about that one. Juno 6, so classic DCO, same time period as the AX80, and also same time period as the Hawaii SX240. Which I actually like it better because it does a whole lot more and has some really wicked sounds on it. But this one's a classic. This one doesn't have the memory that the Juno 60 has, but it's the same exact layout, same brain, same basic performance. It's very easy to edit, so presets aren't really required unless you have to do a lot of live shows and you got to punch in the sounds. And Casio CZ1. So their original flagship called the Cosmo synthesizer in Europe. And this had velocity and aftertouch, a lot of nice timbral options on it. Even Jean-Michel Jarre used this as well. And this is a nice example of the later in Sonics, the TS10, really good for trans waves, really nice mix of all kinds of presets in it with samples and synthesis mixed in. And look at that beautiful luminescent display there. Really easy to read, super easy to navigate, great stuff. Even have the little Reface DX from Yamaha, which has the little keytar handles on it so you can strap it on. This is my one of my submixers. It's a Soundcraft. So it's grabbing this part of the room There's even a emu command station here, which is nice. It's like the Produce 2500 and a groove box, and the Slim Fatty, and some other stuff down here. Micro sampler from Korg. So that's that. That's all coming into the Mackie from there. And then from over here, I forgot to show you the AX7 keytar from Roland. Nice ribbon controller, expression bar, D-beam, which is really special because a lot of keytars don't have that. Aftertouch, battery operated, and it looks kind of cool. So very nice if you like keytars. And so that's that section. I have a sub mixer over here from Mackie. So that one grabs this part of the room with the guitars and the synths and the theremin, all that kind of stuff. This part of the room that you saw earlier with the Miko and the X Station and all this stuff is controlled by this little Behringer mixer here, which is just a basic Behringer mixer, but it does the job. And they all go XLR to the Mackie mixer for master mix. And then I can hook them all into the ATEM Mini Pro. It's a single controller for podcasts and making live videos for YouTube, things like that. Quick note on the Voice Live 2, and I use that as a common microphone interface to go into the ATEM Mini. Use a Rode NT1A, and a pop screen there.
Holy fucking shit. Holy fucking shit. Like, dude, you're like, Synth Addict is exactly what you fucking are. You've got every fucking synth from way back when they first fucking started making them. Like, Jesus Christ. And you only show us the machine week after week. Like, I get why you use the machine. I get why you use it, and I get why you use your modular stuff, but please, like Dean said, can we see you use some of these synths for URL submissions? Good God, you've got like every synth that everybody's ever going to want. You've actually got my first synth that I ever bought as well, the OB12. I miss that synth so much. I don't know if I want to spend the £400 or £500 to get it back. I'd rather have a Hydra synth these days. But the Slim Fatty just sat there underneath doing nothing. Good God, like, good God. But please, Synth Addict, show us some of these synths. You've got an amazing collection there, and we want to see some of the sounds that come out of them, and like hook them up to the machine, and just like, please, you could do one synth a week for the next fucking year and not run out of synths. Just, oh my God, like, Synth Addict, thank you so much for your studio tour. When you sent it in and I looked at it, and I'm like, God, a half-hour tour. I hope this is going to be interesting. Interesting is an understatement. You have every synth there that everybody wants. Like, I guarantee you, somebody's like, I want that. Oh, no, I want that. No, I want that. That's how I was going throughout the whole fucking tour. Synth Addict, good God, that is amazing. Pierrot, my old Hardware Jam subs has many of these synths in them. Then start putting them into the URL, because you get one each week. Like, put your latest Hardware Jam in, like, the first week, and then put an old one in that shows us you demonstrating your synths. Please, for the love of God. Please, for the love of God. Okay, so we have to move on, which is sad because I could have spent fucking weeks in that studio just like pushing knobs and keys and going, oh my God. I don't think you had the synth that I want the most, though, which is the Moog Source. And I'm actually looking forward to the Behringer clone that's going to come out of that, because I haven't got $2,000 to spend on an original, and I could probably just about swallow £300 for the clone. Oh, Synth Addict, fuck me, you've gone way up in my estimation. I thought you owned a machine and some modular kit. You own every synth there is out there. Right, who is next up? I don't know who is next up. We shall see. Yes. I know who this is, but I can't remember who it is. And I need to change the name. Let's see.
Hello, Clown Army.
There we go.
Hello,
Badger.
thank you for having me. I've already tried to do one of these crib rig run through, whatever you call it, man cave violation chisels. And it just turned into 40 minutes of me rambling about every single bit of kit and where it came from and stories behind it. Just you know, a cure for insomnia.
I'll sit tight. You were far from fucking boring, mate.
One. So I'm trying again. Going to be more general and brief this time, I hope. And so welcome to take 2. And let's get going. As I'm sure should be obvious, this is like main work area. I only have 5 screens now. There was a 6.
I will say that I have been in this studio. I have made a track in this studio. That track is on my album, In Acid We Trust, which is available from Boomstick Records, and it's on Spotify, which I hate, iTunes, which I hate, Juno Records, and other bits and pieces like that. But yeah, so check that out.
It's sticking out the end and I kept walking into it. I'm back down to 3 Macs in a row here. I got rid of 1. It was just in the way, and a friend had better use of it. So yeah, that's the main area. Well, when it comes to computer stuff, and obviously turn around 90 degrees, there's the main bit of the live hardware rig. Depending on what I'm doing, I might jam through these PreSonus little speakers at the top, which I'm not too fond of. They sound so different to everything else, it completely messes me up every time. But usually stuff goes into, yeah, don't laugh, in a Behringer DJ mixer, but it works. You know, the USB on that goes straight into computer. It's a good signal, what can I do? Then again, if I want to subtly remix things anyway, I can put stuff individually into my PreSonus 18. I'm not sponsored by PreSonus, by the way, but PreSonus 1824 IO. Just got these JBLs. I should have got them years ago, really. They're great. Most people say Adams, but then the people whose music I like the most said JBLs, so that makes sense. Underneath them, some Alesis, which aren't bad. There's a whole area here of not used, fully functioning, but just not used speakers, and I think it looks good. Better to have them looking good than just being landfill, I think. I'm having to retire this Trigger Finger Pro. It's just glitching, but can still use it for testing and on things. It's not usually there. I'm just in the middle of something. To the other side, so behind me, when I'm sat at the computer, to one side of the rig, there's this tower of stuff. And literally, just in the last 2 minutes, this, God, what, this 30, 40-year-old sampler has just died in the last 2 minutes. Well, it's eaten the operating system disk. It's just replacing a drive, but it's just a kerfuffle, you know what I mean? I've also got, in here, I've got a couple more, the S950 and the Yamaha A3000. The 3000 works fine, I've just not used it much. The 950 definitely needs the drive replacing. This, until very recently, this was an area where any kit that just wasn't fitting, either space-wise or sound-wise, if it just wasn't fitting with the main rig, I'd make a secondary rig. And I've had some fun jams, I've recorded some fun stuff. But this has turned more now into a kind of repair workshop, which is why it's so messy. My beloved old Alesis SR16 is throwing out random MIDI notes now and then. I've got a effects unit here off a good mate Swifty that's just getting really warm. I seem to have wiped everything off my TD3. The good old SP808, completely fine now. I've just got no room right next to the other one. Right, so moving around anti-clockwise to get more. Just got a Chromebook there. I've had some random computers sat there the whole time. It's just if I ever have a guest who just wants to do some basic internet stuff without messing up any of my music stuff, you know, there's somewhere for them to be. Background, I've got a can't remember if this is called a G3 or a G4, but beautiful old Mac, 50 quid off eBay.
Wow.
I'm going to find a use for that just because it's just a beautiful thing. I've managed to say in 5 minutes what took me 40 minutes last time, so I'm quite chuffed. Alright, see you.
Ah, Bad Badger. Like I say, I've been in that studio. It is a lovely studio. I've made music in that one. And yeah, I'm glad you squished it down to about 40 minutes. You could have gone at least a 10-minute one on that one, fella. But yeah, it was lovely to see your space. And it's great to see you back at the URL. You had a hiatus for a good couple of years. And it's good to see you back at the URL and putting music in as well. So, great little studio there. And again, this is the whole point of why I do this. You don't have to have massive amounts of stuff to be able to produce music. You can have massive amounts of stuff. You can just write in a DAW. Like a lot of Matt Dobbs's studio tour was literally just him pointing the camera at his PC and saying, these are the plugins I use, and this is how I use them. And that is perfectly fine. It's still a studio. A lot of people are like, well, if Jim is like, well, I only use Reason. I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter. Just show us what you use, how you use it, even if it's like a 2-minute long fucking video. Paul Hellier sent in a studio tour, which was 1 minute and 42 seconds long, the shortest studio tour we've had to date. Okay, let's see who is next up. Hostable.
What's happening, CLOWNFEST? This is Hostable reporting to you, not quite live, but somewhat direct.
I love it.
So, yeah, I'm here to do a studio tour. So I'll just find out. Let me just put down the coffee first. So yeah, here we go. Here's the beauties. That's all you need, really. Couple of...
Those are Volkers. What are you doing? Those are anal dildos. What are you doing?
Fans needs. I've heard there's some way of syncing them up, but I just like to click play and hope for the best. I think my favourite thing about these is apparently they can take a thing, a headphone or a line output, but they have these little speakers on the bottom. What more could you need? This is not beauty.
I actually miss my Volker sample a lot. The Volker sample lends itself so well to techno, it's not even funny. I miss that little beast, and it is a little beast, and I will be getting one again.
Who needs expensive speakers when you got this? Lovely. This one seems to make some sort of noise. But who knows what it does? They seem about in sync to me, I'm pretty sure. And if you need to get them in sync, there's always a matching on. Everyone's favourite. Sometimes I like to just rock out to this sound, to be honest. Just play around with the tempo, see what happens. Yeah, there we go. Listen to that. Beautiful. Meanwhile, this thing's still humming. Beautiful. Yeah, just some coffee.
Oh my god, you're resting your coffee cup on your fucking synths. You're resting it on the Monotron. Ah!
Truth be told, this isn't my full studio. I also have these little things. If it works. But it isn't. Why would you need anything else when you got this? And this one. Perfect studio. Doesn't seem to be balancing. Perfect. I also have all of this kind of stuff, but that's just kind of waste. You guys wouldn't care about that.
Honestly, you and that coffee cup is giving me a fucking heart attack.
So yeah, it's pretty much my studio.
Bad Badger deal.
So yeah, that's pretty much my studio. Yeah, that's all you need really. I heard Carl Cox, I think, has a pretty similar setup. You might have the Volk FM though, I think maybe. But if any of you guys are looking to waste some money, I suppose you could be intrigued by some of this stuff. I suppose I'll give a quick run through of the actual setup. So that's
I'm gonna start calling you Trolly McTroll Pants, Hostable. My cheeks literally hurt from smiling. I literally want my Volca sample back though, or a Volca sample back. So Bad Badger, if you're on for a trade at some point, I will give you the going rate for it, mate. You know, I know that you want to do some giveaways for the Clown Army, and that's fucking absolutely amazing of you, and we will do that at some point. But Hostapal, you trolly fucking cunt, you absolute trolly McTroll face. I love that studio tour. It was brilliant. You spent 5 minutes talking about the fucking the pocket operators and the Volkers, and then went, well, you can waste your money on this if you want, and showed us your actual studio, which has got some fucking lovely kit in it. Where is it? Let's see if we can get a better picture of it. Okay, so that's a reface there. I'll just walk you through what's going on here. M audio controller, the modal cycle, the micro freak, the Model D. That looks like a MIDI fighter. Over here we've got the Crave, and over there we've got what looks like a TD. So you trolly McFucking troll face. That was absolutely beautiful. Hostapal, you beautiful cunt, and the fact that you kept putting your coffee on it, just oh my god, that's a Monotron. Don't do that to the Monotron. Might be able to do that to a Volca, but not the Monotron, not the Monotron. I had the Monotron, yeah, no, No, Monotribe. I had the Monotribe for a little while, and I really liked it. I also had the Waldorf Strafrecht, or whatever the fucking hell it's called, and that was like a Monotribe on steroids, and they're really, really good. I recommend them. I actually regret getting rid of both of those. But my whole ethos is, if I want something into the studio, I have to get something out of the studio. I want to swap this one out for a Hydrasynth Explorer, and when I swap it out for the Hydrasynth Explorer, I will be selling it. I'm also thinking about selling the TRA-S and the 707 because I just simply don't use it. Okay, so let's hope somebody else picks up the trolling baton and does it better than Hostapol. I fucking doubt it, but it might happen. Are we ready? Who's next?
Hi CLOWNFEST 11, I'm Liara, and welcome to my studio tour. I also live here, so you'll have to excuse if it's a little messy, but let's get right to it. So when you first walk up, my corgi banner will show that we are a very queer household, and when you first open the door, you will almost always be greeted by an actual corgi whose name is Ein, and he's a very, very good boy. He's a sweetheart. But anyway, my philosophy when it comes to music and production is to have immediacy, and so all of my stuff I usually have plugged in and turned on, except for at nighttime because I need the darkness to sleep. But this setup is just a little bit of hardware stuff. Usually I am using it for my friends to come and jam and get a feel for what hardware feels like. I don't use a lot of these boxes anymore, but first up we have the Scorp Pyramid, which is this really awesome MIDI clip launcher, I guess you could call it, and also you can just like assign a bunch of different channels to it and run it out and really take control of a lot of your gear. It's got a decent sequencer as well and some really cool MIDI effects. Right now it's hooked up to this TB-03 because you can't really play a TB-03 super immediately, so this gives it a keyboard, which is nice. Speaking of the TB-03, it's the Roland Boutique version of the TB-303, which we all know and love. I kind of dislike this box, to be honest. I don't think it has a very good overdrive, and I don't really care for the way the accent sounds on it, but it is a nice box. Underneath it, I have the SH-101A, the SH-01A, which is the recreation of the SH-101. So again, something we kind of all know and love. I'm a Roland fangirl, I can't help it. I just really like the sounds, and I do have acid electro, so kind of makes sense. But this one has a really, really beautiful sound, and you can really tweak it nicely. Right now it's just on a preset, so you can hear. And then it's running through this Allen & Heath Z12 Effects, which is a little live PA mixer. It has a couple nice little effects on it if you want to send it to that, and it has some cool routing capabilities as well. So like an alt out if you want to have like a sub with it, or right now it's just hooked up to these two M Audio AV42s, which are pretty decent for little 4-inch speakers. They get pretty loud and they have a decent frequency response. The other box that I have on this immediate setup is the MC707, which is a groove box that has a lot of really cool capabilities. Again, I don't really use it these days, but you can make some fun sounds. Just an example. It's also got this like Ableton style clip launcher.
The synth engine in it is fucking amazing, but the wetsuit you need for the menu dive in is fucking insane.
Anyway, that's that setup there. And then we have my main music production desk and all my Foxes and my decorations. So I use Pro Tools as a DAW, and I'm kind of traditional in how I use DAWs in that I'm not using them honestly for a lot of their capabilities. I'm using it as a tape machine. And the reason I do Pro Tools is because it has really good automation recording. And the VSTs I use, I all map to the System 8. And so it's almost like I'm just playing hardware in a digital format because I'm still using all the hands-on stuff. And if they're like hardware sequencers, say if I'm like using a TR-808, I'm actually programming it on the 808 and then recording it as audio and then chopping the audio up instead of like using a piano roll. As far as routing goes for this computer, my interface, I have two of them. I use a Universal Audio X4 as my kind of hands-on. I can control how loud stuff is, and I can also do like a little dipping on it if I need to just like dim it for a second, or I can put it into mono because it's kind of a slave to the X16, which I'll show you in a second. The X4 has, I I think 4 ins and outs, and then it's got 2 DSP chips for Universal Audio's like proprietary plugins, which isn't very much. So in order to enhance that, I have a little Universal Audio Octo satellite, which gives me another 8 DST chips. And then down here is the big one, the X16, which has 6 DSP chips, really good converter. It's 16 ins and outs, and because it's Universal Audio, they make you buy all the cables yourself separately, which is really frustrating. But they're all on like kind of like a D-pin connector, so it's like 8 1/4" into this D-pin, and then you get 4 of those cables, and each one's like $20 because they like to price gouge you. So I have to set those up into this patch bay so that the patch bay can run stuff in and out, and then if I want to like hook a mixer up to it, I can do that as well. Audio output is all running into this DBX.
Catch you later, Synthetic. Thank you so much for your tour.
Which I use because I set a crossover frequency between my subs and my tops. And also I can just like reach down at night and very quickly mute my sub and turn off the crossover, so then I can still use my monitors and have a frequency response that's decent. Speaking of monitors, I use these JBL 308P Mark IIs, which are really nice. They've got a really good sound quality and character to them. And then the sub is a JBL 310S. And then that's my desktop. She's a big boy. She's got an i9-11900K, a NVIDIA GTX 1080, 16 gigs of RAM, which I need to upgrade, and then a 1 terabyte SSD NVMe drive. Next on this rack unit is the Motu MIDI Express XT, which is got 8 MIDI channel in and outs, as well as like software that you can route it so that your computer can be talking to everything, so you can really sync everything up and have clock sync and record MIDI if you want to. So that's really nice. I don't use it a lot, but it's there, it's available. Again, I use the System 8 as my controller. I don't use it as a synth because I have the VST version of it, so I don't need to use the hardware version of the synth. So everything is basically just digitized onto the System 8, and I can use all the parameters to control whatever I need to control and have all my boxes and hardware that I would usually have in my computer, and then have full control over how I record the automation, which is really, really nice. For DJ equipment, I have 2 Pioneer XTJ 1000 Mark IIs. They're really, really nice. They're not too expensive, and they don't have all the bells and whistles of the CDJ 3000s, but I honestly don't need a lot of those features, so that's cool. I keep everything pretty well hooked up, and I'll just play you a quick little track so you can see what it sounds like. This is one of the ones I made. It's on an EP called When an Angel Takes Acid, and the song title is literally just some fucking bleep bloops. But it is attached to the Zone 92, which I love. My main feature that I love about the Zone 92 is its filters and the LFO that you can attach to the filters to get some really cool movement, and it just sounds really nice. The analog stuff that I like to use for vinyl, I have Tech 1200 Mark IIs. I want to get a DVS set up someday, but I don't have one yet. We'll fix that eventually. Once again, those are all my foxes, because I'm a fox. I'm also a goddess, which is why I have an altar, which is right here. My space, I really like aesthetics. It makes creation a lot easier, and it makes just feeling comfortable. And speaking of feeling comfortable, here is my bed, which leads us to another thing I've been working on. I'm trying to create a completely mobile setup where I don't need to have power. I can just go out somewhere and put everything in a suitcase and jam. Right now it's hooked up to this KC400, which is a nice little keyboard amp that's got some decent like 4-channel capability mixing, and it has a good sound profile. But what's really special about this setup is everything runs off battery, and I don't need any kind of power source, and I can just jam. So I use these Roland compacts, the T8, which is a bunch of the different Roland drum sounds. I think it's the 808 kick, the 606 hats and snare, and then a 909 clap, and I can't remember what the tom is from. I think it's 808 tom. And then it also has a TB03 in it, and it's honestly the best TB03 emulation that I've heard Roland make. It's super, super lovely. Next to it is the S1, which is a better version of the SH101 because it's got 4-voice polyphony and a couple new wave shapes, as well as the ability to draw in some wave shapes, which is really cool. And you can have up to 8 lanes of motion recording, which is really cool. So you can go ahead and make all your tweaks to your ADSR or your envelope or your filter and have it recorded, which is really nice. Next to that is the E4, which is like a 30-second looper through whatever's on your mic in. It's also a voice tweaker, so kind of like the V4. It's got a vocoder, an auto harmonizing function, and an auto pitching function, and then a really cool scatter effect, which can like chop your voice up or whatever your sample is. And then the looper is, like I said, 30 seconds, which is really nice. And these are all attached to this MIDI Solutions Quadra Through. It's a 1-in, 4-out box. I don't have it pictured here, but I've also got the J6, which is the basically Juno compact. It's not really great as a synth because you can't change any of the parameters very well, except for like the filter and the envelope and the resonance. But hey, that's cool with me. It's nice to just have a little chord machine to play some backing stuff with. But that's all being controlled, you know, by my iPad. And then I also use this key step to be able to have a keyboard to play into. And those are all running into the Volt 2. So I have that as my MIDI in and out, as well as my audio in and out, which is attached to the iPad. And I use Roland ZenBeats. Once again, I'm kind of a Roland fangirl, but this program is really, really well done. It has Ableton style clip launcher or a traditional DAW timeline, but you can just like have it launch your clips and control the MIDI for your boxes. So let me play this real quick. And then while that's all going, I can just like be free to tweak. So yeah, that is my studio, and I'm really happy to show it all to you, and I hope you enjoyed this tour. If you're ever in the States and in Iowa, in Iowa City specifically, come say hello. I would love to have you over. And
I would love to come over at some point.
And my puppy would also like to say hello. But take care, CLOWNFEST. Goodbye.
That was beautiful. Really? That the drum machine with the 303 attached to it is the best emulation of a TB of a TBA 303 that you've heard? I've been tempted for one of those for a long time. I might actually pull the trigger on that. Vutal, thank you so much for your studio tour. You pop up infrequently on the URL. We'd like to see you a lot more on that, and that was a great little tour. We'll also get you in for a proper full-on set at some point. Like I say, the next CLOWNFEST will be at Christmas. It'll probably be 10 days long, and I want everybody who's ever been involved in CLOWNFEST to have a set, and I would like a whole day dedicated to like new people that have never had a set before, and your name is definitely down for that. Artist name is Vutal. Thank you so much for that tour. It was good to see you. It was good to hear you. Like I say, this is why I do this, to bring us all closer together as a little bit of a family. So yeah, thank you so much. Who is up next? And if I'm ever in the States, you can guarantee I'm going to come and see you. Le fromage, the cheese.
Something, studio tour. It's still a mess. It seems like I need to clean up.
He did say there was some humor involved in this one.
Look at that. All clean. Except for the goat mess, of course.
Studio tour days is the volumes fluctuate so much. Anyway, check out Le Fromage. I'll be back in 2.
Hey there! Welcome to Studio Fromage, and welcome all to CLOWNFEST. There are some of you that might know me, and a lot that probably do not even know me. Well, my name is Le Fromage. I make acid techno and acid core. Today I'm going to show you my studio, which is basically my desk filled with all kinds of devices. Because I live in a really tiny apartment, you're not only in my studio, you're also in my living room and in my kitchen. Anyway, let's get to business. I'm going to show you a little bit of the things that I do and what my routing for my devices is. And I will also go a little bit into what my workflow currently is. And of course, everyone wants to see the machines and the devices in action, so I will give you a little bit of a show with the intro of my live set that I did for Acid Bash back in March. But before we get into any of that, I'm going to tell you a bit of a story as to why there has not been any music since past March and April. So first of all, I've been hearing impaired for as long as I can remember. I've been having hearing problems since I was a small child, but since the end of April 2022, I've been diagnosed with Meniere's disease. This basically gives me severe attacks of vertigo, tinnitus and sudden deafness. Since a couple of months, I have hearing aids for both my ears. Due to the fact of all the attacks and hearing loss getting worse and worse, and lack of sleep due to tinnitus, I've been battling with a lot of mental health issues and depression. Due to this, I have not been able to make any new music for the last couple of months. Eventually I will get better and I'm getting professional help, but for the moment I most likely will not make any new music since I don't have the energy for it. I need to heal first. Anyhow, enough with the sad story. Let's get on to the machines. So let me just grab my phone and change it to the other camera. So first of all, let's start with the main powerhouse. This is basically the brain of everything, the Akai Force. So this is what I mostly use for everything. I stopped using Ableton, mainly I only use Ableton for recording. Anyway, so we have the Akai Force, we have the MB33, DD3 from Behringer, then we have this nice Soundcraft MTK12, then we have under here we have Boss DS1, the MT2, Proco Red Distortion, TC Electronic Chorus, the Hypergravity compressor, we have the TC Electronic Hall of Fame, we have the Flashback 2x4 by TC Electronic, freaking awesome delay pedal, and we have the TC Electronic Sky Surfer Reverb, and of course another audio interface, because why the fuck not. Anyway, let's get into what the routing basically is. So, for instance, for the MB33, the routing is, it goes from the MB33, it goes to the DS1, and then it goes towards the MT2. This is basically gain staging what I'm doing, because the MT2 has an equalizer on it. From the MT2, it goes into the chorus, then it goes into the flashback, and then into the Hall of Fame. Then it gets all routed back to the Akai Force. I'm currently not using the mixer for everything. Why? Because I'm trying to keep my live set as tiny as possible to actually keep it portable. Anyhow, let's move on. So the DD3, basically it goes towards Proco Red and then towards the Sky Surfer Reverb. Oh, I actually forgot, it actually first, after the Proco Red, it goes to the Hypergravity compressor and then it goes into the reverb. And then of course it gets all routed back towards the Akai Force. So on the Akai Force, for my workflow, what I basically do, I actually just start with a simple kick sequence and a hi-hat sequence. This is basically what I start with. Just a basic drum kick and drum beat, and that's it. after that, I started working on the MIDI. So the MB33 MIDI and the TD3 MIDI. After that, eventually, when I got my first beats and melodies laid out, I started going forward with working on different kinds of samples and whatever. But anyway, that's basically what I do. So that's basically it. But as an FYI, just because you might have, for instance, have hearing loss, it doesn't mean you cannot make music. Let me be clear on that. There's so much you can still do. Even if you can't hear everything, you can still make the beats, you can still make the melodies. If you can't get around with the mixing of it all, there's a lovely bunch of people in CLOWNFEST and the URL that can actually help you out. Those people are really awesome. Anyhow, let's get on to a bit of music. Thanks Mark for having me, and everyone enjoy CLOWNFEST.
Great tour there from Le Fromage, and I can thoroughly empathise with him with the tinnitus and stuff. I know Dean Daughters has got tinnitus as well, and I've had tinnitus for just about as long as I can remember. I attribute that to being in heavy metal clubs at the age of 14 when I really shouldn't have been. So yeah, I understand with the tinnitus. Actually, I've got, I don't know if they work, but I picked up these a little while back, and I don't know if it's psychosomatic or what, but apparently this is supposed to reduce tinnitus by 25%. So I've been taking these religiously for about the past month. There's 100 pills in a bottle for 30 quid, and if it's psychosomatic, and I think that my tinnitus is less than it is, then I'm willing to pay 30 quid a year or 60 quid a year to so yeah, that's that these things, Ginkgo biloba, those things, apparently they're supposed to reduce tinnitus. Whether it does or not, I don't know. Studio Gremlin says, I certainly whinge a lot less about it, and it's at night that it gets me. It feels like it's massive, and to be fair, actually, I haven't actually felt it at night as much as I used to. So, if these things are psychosomatically working for me, then I will continue taking them so that, I feel better about my tinnitus, But yeah, I've had it for forever. Okay, so next tour coming up is the Lords of Sound. These guys have been polishing what they do for the past sort of year. And again, they came together through the URL. I actually remember when they were like, "Oh, you're from the States, are you? Yeah, whereabouts in the States are you? Oh, I'm from Texas. Should we meet up?" And literally, they did that, and they started making. They're like an Alice in Chains, Doors kind of band with a little bit of Primus thrown in. When Tim does his vocals and is really squeaky about it, it really reminds me of Primus. So yeah, take it away, Lords of Sound.
Hello, how are you doing there? This is Lords of Sound tour. Zarjan's International Nightclub is where we jam and play and record. We have multiple studios and lots of equipment, and we don't want to really go into all the stuff we have or to show off or anything, but we've worked real hard to build a large amount of equipment throughout the years to play most any style that we feel like doing, and we have lots of stuff to play around with. We're just showing you a particular slideshow of the different things we like to play and stuff, and as you can see, we have a lot of equipment, but that's not all of it, because we have our home studios too, plus the venue studio, and we spend a lot of time designing stuff, but what we actually use together as a band is many different things, but we've consolidated our setup depending on what we're doing, but we mix and match up different equipment all the time, and we try different stuff, and as you can see, we have lots of equipment, and we've been playing in this venue. This venue is Arjan's International Nightclub. It's a venue in San Antonio. It's been here for 30 years, established in Latin music, live performances of the biggest bands in Latin music history that my dad had created with artwork on the tables and the chairs and all over, as you can see. It is a beautiful place. It has a lot of history in Latin music. It's a world famous club my father had created 30 years ago. He's been in the business a long time, and we've worked a long time to be able to work for ourselves and do what we like to do. We're blessed to be able to have good people that like us and like what we do. We just continue wanting to provide great entertainment and make everybody happy and enjoy the different things that we can create and make throughout the years. This is just a sample of some of the stuff, and I wanted to give a voiceover just to talk about what it is. Like I said, we don't want to show off and talk about every piece of gear and how we use it or whatever. We just want to share our music with people and get them to be connected and energized and feel the different feelings and aspirations and life experiences that we go through, and the different experiences have created the music. We write about what we feel and what we go through and how we feel. We put a lot of time and effort, and we work real hard to do all of the best as we can. We spent many years designing this studio and multimedia setup in this club with multiple cameras, lights, sound systems, and good speakers, monitors, and many other things inside the club. As you can see, there's a lot of gear we like to play, and this is my favorites of what I like to play. I have a lot of stuff, and like I said, we're not trying to show off because we have a lot of stuff. We're just happy to make music and share with people, and that's the most important thing, is connecting with people and sharing the music ideas with a great community of people. And Clown Army has been a wonderful experience. It's pushed us to make better music and learn what we were doing and be more proficient at it and learn how to be better as a community with a lot of great people. It's been a great experience for all of us. We've worked real hard. We've had a lot of things happen in our life that has been very traumatic, but you know, music is a great thing. It connects us, it brings us together. It's a thing that people should share. It's not about money, it's not about the things that people have, it's about the experience that we share when we play our instruments and how we feel. Music should be about how you feel and what you do, and it's not necessarily about being good or bad. It's just what we feel and it's what we do, and we're blessed to work in the business of music and do the things that we do. We love to share music with people because when people enjoy it, it makes us feel happy. That's the reward we get, is when we make people excited and we make them feel good with the music that we're doing and the experience. And I have many years of working in business and things and stuff, but the biggest thing that drives us in music is the experience to share with people and learn. You know, sometimes you do something wrong and you learn from it and you do better, and it's always a learning experience. I'm always constantly learning how to do things differently, and I wish I had more time to do more, but I'm blessed to be able to do what we can do, and we try our best, because you know, in this life it could be very stressful with the way things go and stuff, and the music removes us from this world and puts us into the place where we feel the most comfortable and happy about the experience that we want to share. And of course, the music could be up or down, happy, sad, energetic, slow. It doesn't matter. It's what we feel at the time and what we've gone through the shared experiences. We have been able to create wonderful things, and it's an important thing in life to understand, to learn to grow. You know, you don't decide if you do something good. It's the people who tell you. You do it for the people, not for yourself. Music is a shared experience. You want to share with people and sometimes let them be able to experience what you were feeling, regardless of happy or sad or whatever. It's just one of those things that can push you to help you understand the experience. All my life I've been playing for 40 years, and it's been a wonderful experience because I've learned so much, and we make mistakes and then we learn from them. That's how life is. It goes on and on like a circle. You know, you have good days, you have bad days. That's just life. You can't always be the best at what you do, but being consistent and honest and loyal to what you feel is the most important thing that you could share with people. Because, you know, like I said, this is a wonderful experience, music, and everything in the world is based beyond music, and everything we do has music in it. No matter what you do or where you go, in your car or out to eat or in the movies or wherever you go, music is a shared experience. It's in everything. It's like one of the most important things to people is to connect, and that's the most important thing about this. And this, like I said, is a different kind of a tour. We're not going to talk about how we do things and all that. Everybody has their way, and I would love to go through all of the gear and all of the stuff and all the way we do everything, and everything is just with work and the schedule that we have. We have to work as well as to make ends meet. But the thing is the experience is a wonderful thing to share, and all we want to do is continue to share with people and make sure that everybody, you know, we can't please everybody. No one's going to like all your music and everything you do, and that's not important. Important is sharing and communicating and being part of an audience and growing and learning, and that's the most important thing that I could probably ever want in life, is to continue doing music and share with people, because that's the most important thing.
man, you are already that guy. Just fucking take the jump and start doing it not professionally, but like make a blog or some shit. You are already that guy. You are the cooking guy. Just jump in. I did not realise that was in the corner of your club, Arjan. I thought that was in your home. You guys have coalesced into something that is really, really special. It might not be my bag the whole time, but I can appreciate elements of it, you know, as you go along. And like you say, it's all about sharing. You're not going to please everybody all the time, and it's about the mood that you're in at the time. I absolutely agree with everything that you've said in that video, Arjan, and it was an absolutely brilliant showcase of what you do, why you do it, how you do it. It wasn't particularly centered on the kit, it was more centered on the ethos of what you do, and that was brilliant. It brings a little extra flavor to the studio tour day. Absolutely awesome. Okay, who is up next? Oh, Particle Drift.
Hi, I'm Particle Drift, and this is my studio. So, the first bit of kit that I want to talk about is the Eurorack that I started building about 2 or 3 years ago. The reason I wanted to start building Eurorack stuff was because I wanted my own alligator triple filter like the one that you get within Reason, which is why I started with this triple voltage controlled resonance filter from Dopfer, which was loads of fun, sequenced via the marbles here, going through Monsoon. But I quickly realised that I wanted to have a bit more fun, so I started adding voices. There's a plates clone here, a rings clone over here, and then everything goes through this nice UJO filter, and it's controlled via the Digitact. So we can bring up some nice little arpeggiated type synth stuff, which is coming from the plates clone down here, which goes into FX Aid for a bit of reverb. And that's all been sequenced via this little marbles clone here called Pachinko, so it's like a small version of mutable marbles. And then I've always really enjoyed what we get out of plates. It's quite, and there's loads of new synth engines in here recently. This one works particularly well. Bits and pieces in here. I started with one case here, which I quickly outgrew, which everyone said I Wood, who uses Eurorack. Just has a building this little small one over here, using a little tray from IKEA of all things. Unfortunately, it means that I'm going to have to build another little small one as well, just to add on a few more bits and pieces. You can see the main big triple resonance filter in the middle here, which weirdly looks a lot like Alligator from Reason anyway. And then, yeah, so that's Eurorack stuff for now. Then over here we've got the main part of the studio. The GEEKY Tact is really the brains of everything that sequences most things. The Digitone was my first Electron and still by far my favourite. I really like it for, well, arpeggios are really quite nice on it. It's got a really nice warm sound for a digital synth. I really like FM modulation. The kick drums that we can do with the Digitone are really excellent. I much prefer them to samples. I use this keyboard for triggering the Digitone and the Idasynth as well. I mean, you all know what how a GEEKY Tact works. I mean, it's, you know, got some vocal samples over here. You can do the vocal samples are kind of gospel-y type thing at the moment. You can mess about with this a little bit and change how it. Got this wet function, which is quite interesting, but we can change it back to a normal one shot. Quite nice. So, love these Electron devices. Some people think they're really hard to use. I find it, you know, pretty straightforward. Once you've learned one, learning some more is pretty okay. Then over here is the Hydrosynth, hands down one of my favourite synthesizers that I've ever used. It's really adaptable. Really nice arpeggiator on it. Can do really gnarly excellent filter. This section here, which is assignable to pretty much anything with envelopes and LFOs and filters, and so you've got this really fast way to run macros for all the different things over here. It's really laid out really simply. Fantastic bit of kit, love it. Thanks for taking a poke around my studio with me. You can catch my music on Bandcamp, SoundCloud and YouTube. See you again.
Thank you so much, Particle Drift, for your tour. I don't know if you can see, but Eric is sat on my Chaos pads right now, making them go da 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 da. I'm gonna have to kick him off when I do my tour. The only reason he's sat on it is because it's warm. Just because it's made of warm cat doesn't mean you should be sitting on it. I will kick him off of that in presently. Particle Drift, Derek, thank you so much for your studio tour. I love your stuff. It is beautiful beyond belief. It really, really is. You're a master of what you do there. And your studio isn't massive. It's just full of quality kit, you know, and it's just beautiful. Okay, next up we have Mystic Frequencies, and his studio tour was the longest one we've ever had before, and he just wanted to do a little update for it. So here it is.
Computer, activate Mystic Frequencies. Activate Mystic Frequencies. Activate Mystic Frequencies. have it. Mystic Frequencies Studio Tour 2023. Computer, deactivate Mystic Frequencies.
Unbelievable stuff there from Mystic Frequencies. Like literally unbelievable stuff there. I actually really loved the way he did that. He just kind of went around and gave us a little hint of what each synthesizer sounds like. That was a great tour, Ronald Mark Peters. That was a great fucking tour. If you ever wondered what a synth sounded like and you wanted to get it, this is the guy to fucking go and see. He's literally got every synth you've ever wanted. Like somebody said, giving Synth Addict a run for his money. Absolutely. But I like that. There was no talking involved. It was just, this is what the synth sound like. This is what it is. Great fucking tour. Okay, so we have a little tour from Sarah Summers coming up. So Sarah, take it away, please.
I'm Sarah Summers. Kind of like a mix of different dance genres. I love to like meld genres together, so it can be sort of techno-y or with like dub or a bit of dubstep, or sometimes a bit of drum and bass elements or breakbeat. Really going out to clubs and seeing friends play, and pretty much from anything really, like different sounds that you hear in everyday life. Anything can be an inspiration really. So it's been really great to be part of like the live community in Berlin, and connecting with people like Berlin Modular Society and Raw Industries, putting on live events, and just getting connected to people around the world that are doing live performance with machines in parties and stuff. I think it's a really exciting time. When I think about some of like my original inspirations and stuff, there's a lot of stuff from like the 90s. Yeah, things like the very first albums from The Prodigy, like Joker Generation and Experience, and Chemical Brothers, like Digger and Hall, and also really like Eric Prydz. So I tend to sort of jam a lot, so I'll just like start. Sometimes I have an idea in my head and, like a bass sound or something, and I'll just start messing around with that and then just sort of build on that and just sort of hear things in my head and then try to recreate what's going on. Yeah, I really love the Syntag at the moment. It's one of my favorite machines right now, and the Percons from Erica Synth I also really love, and I'm also enjoying the modular a lot. So it sort of changes a bit on a weekly or daily basis. I think it would be great to get access to some synths that I don't have, maybe for particular projects or particular sounds that I want to use, and also potentially for like some synths that I'm not using very much, I can also lend them out to people. So yeah, I'm working on my album at the moment and it's nearly finished, so I'm really looking forward to releasing that in the next sort of couple of months, 1 to 2 months hopefully. So I'm excited for that, and that's going to be based off a lot of my live sets. The easiest way is to come to one of my gigs, but at the moment there's not so much online. But if you also go to YouTube/Sarah Summers, so there's music there, or also on Instagram, Sarah Summers. I've always loved Pink, but I always kind of kept my music and my Pink love kind of separate, and then not so long ago, maybe only 2 years ago, I decided to bring my two loves together, and this kind of project was born, and yeah, I just didn't turn back. So basically when I get a new synth, then I often have to take it apart and spray paint all the different pieces and color them or whatever, and then put them back together. Some of the other ones I make these overlays and a printer and then a cutting machine, and then add some other decorations. Yeah, it ends up being a bit time consuming.
Sarah Summers, I met that lovely young lady over in Berlin and watched her play, and she is absolutely fucking phenomenal. She really is. And a lovely human as well, you know, a beautiful soul. It was great meeting her in Berlin, and I hope to go and do that again for not CLOWNFEST, Super Booth next year. Okay, so it was a very short one by Sarah Summers. Who have we got coming up next? The Web. These guys played for CLOWNFEST, last CLOWNFEST, I think, maybe the CLOWNFEST before. And and they are awesome. They're a duo, male and female duo, and they said they were going to make this one kind of funny. So let's dive in.
Welcome to our studio tour, all you clown friends and anyone else who's watching. This is what we use to record all our music on. It's a Tascam Porter studio, which is great. 24 tracks. Back in the 80s it was 4 or 8 track. How great is this? Listen to that. Let's go and look at all the rest of the stuff. Drums, bass, keyboards. Singing. Wanted a Gaia, never actually pulled the trigger on one.
I really like the web. We'll get them back in for a full set at some point. No, Bad Badger, that's what you're here for tonight. I really love these guys' vibes, I really do, they're awesome.
And what's great about being in the studio in the house is it's just a step away to some fun times.
Haunted door. Get some WD-40. I'm having a beer. Do you want one?
Awesome stuff there from the web. Like I say, I really enjoy what they do, and can't wait to get them back in for another CLOWNFEST full set. Thoroughly enjoyed that tour. Again, a different style. Everybody's got a different style, way of doing things, and I really like the web. They definitely need to come back to CLOWNFEST to do a proper set. So thank you so much, the web, for doing that. Okay, we are off to Travis's space. It's a very short studio tour, this one. No talking, I believe, just a quick whiz round with the camera, but it's a lovely studio space. So take it away, Travis. Yeah, I mean, we whizzed past a lot of the kit, but there's some beautiful fucking stuff there. And what a great studio space this guy has got. I mean, this is exactly what I expected from Travis after hearing a couple of his tracks on the URL. The guy's crazy and bonkers with his music, and you knew that was how his studio tour was going to be as well. I love the Whiz Invoke visuals. What an incredible space to make music. Red Room Studios Tour 2003. Thank you so much, Travis, for that crazy bonkersness. It looks like you've got some fucking lovely kit there. You really like your modular stuff as well, don't you? Hostapol says, definitely getting some studio envy today. I am not surprised. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. See, a lot of people say, hey, mate, you've got a lot of kit. I really don't. I really, really don't. And today just fucking proves that. So we've just come over the 2-hour mark. We've got a 9-minute tour coming up from Mind Manipulation, and then I'm going to do a little talk on mine. Literally, it's going to be like 5 minutes max. So yeah, to kick it off, Mind Manipulation music. I'm interested to see what this guy does. Oh, wait, hold on.
Good evening, Bokatob, Dobry Vici and Cali fucking Spirit to you all. It is Leroy Marsh. This is my studio tour. Well, it should be called the studio tour before the studio tour, because as you can see, my studio is not really ready for.
This is Leroy. This is Gorgeous Roy. I've lost my manipulations. Give me 2 minutes.
Cable management problems and being slightly domestically challenged, I'm gonna muggle through this and show you what I've got. First of all, I'm gonna show you all the dead equipment. Not dead, but stuff that I'm not using at the moment. I'm waiting for the studio to be built so I can incorporate it. This is my Yamaha SY77. I did have an original when they first came out. The keyboard action on this is absolutely sublime. If you're interested in playing the keyboards, then certainly, if you can pick these up for between £200–300. I got this one a couple of years ago. I had to have it rebuilt by Tom Skrzakali. He was a regular at CLOWNFEST and always built his own equipment.
I know, right? I just want to fuck
for some reason, most SY77s come with a smash side, which
4
is
minutes.
what this
God
had.
damn it! I've got 4 minutes to sort the
I
next.
don't really use it at the moment, but I'm going to.
Right, I'm going to have to do it.
Other equipment I'm not using at the moment is the Pro One over there. Again, it's space issue. I don't want to get rid of it because I know I can integrate it somewhere. Obviously, Volca bases, back in the box. I bought them, tried them out, thought, no, I'm going to buy a real synth. They do come in handy. Yeah, an old Yamaha, just kind of kid's toy keyboard and a kid's toy drum machine there. I bought that because of the MIDI pads, which are just behind this wall. It's my storage room, and they are going to get set up as well once the studio is finished. Okay, so let's get back to the studio equipment I'm using at the moment, or I've used for CLOWNFEST. First of all is my keyboard. It's a Korg Trion Extreme 88. It's the mother, or was the mother of all keyboards about 16 years ago. It's absolutely brilliant. The keyboard action on it is weighted, it's 88 key. Basically, it's something you get if you're a musician. It's just lovely to play. I'll see if I can stick you under my chin and just give you a bit quick whirl.
Oh, bollocks! Did I have the mic on? Oh, shit!
Okay, so I'm still trying to fit you under my chin. Are you still there? It's not going to work, this. Let's see if we can pop you here in a moment. See that? Yeah, there you go. So anyway, I just love to shred on this. this is basically what I do quite a lot. I'll just come home, I'll stick a drum beat on, and then I'll just do some funk. Enough of that. So the other things which are making the noise then is my Korg monologue. It's got some nice meaty sounds on this. You know, and then the edge. I don't have enough superlatives for the edge. It doesn't matter if you like your Moog or Behringer, it doesn't really matter. Just get yourself either this or the Moog equivalent for a couple of $100 more. It's brilliant. It really is brilliant. It just fills up the gaps that you didn't know there were. Very percussive, very hands-on, very intuitive. You don't need to read the manual for this. Just turn it on, twiddle buttons, and you're off. The patch bay, I'm not really good at patch bays anyway, but this one is creating some nice sounds. So again, just let me...
I hope nobody is offended by those comments that were made when I thought my microphone was off. I do apologise about that. I shall be fucking my girlfriend the minute I finish my studio tour. Enjoy this one.
So this is the edge now. I mean, let's speed this up a bit. So 150. Yeah, so that's the edge. I'm obviously not doing it justice in this little piece. The noise you can hear in the background here is the TDR.
You gotta be over 60 to use Viagra. I don't use Viagra. I do not use Viagra. I do not need Viagra.
Again, I don't really like the growly sounds as much. Because I don't really integrate them into my music. But there you go. But yeah, so this is the edge again. Stop that. Stop that. I've got two Craves here that I've not used on the CLOWNFEST set this year, so I've just kind of disabled them. I will fully integrate everything, especially these four together, so I can just go out and play, which would be nice. I've got an RD9 in the other room, also boxed up. I thought there was a problem with it, but it's just the software. But again, there's nowhere really I can set it up at the moment. The software I'm using is Presonus Studio 1. I've had it for like 3 years, but I've only actually started using it this year. One of the reasons being I just couldn't MIDI up anything. I wasn't that bright. I've got my head around that bit. I've still got a lot of things to learn. So these CLOWNFESTs, or this one, I've learned a lot, but it's just highlighted how much I don't know about quite a lot. So just be patient and bear with me. I will nail it. Other things I've got here is my RD3. Is it RD? Oh, Korg R3 vocoder. I just buy it. I just want it so I can sound like a robot. Every now and then I'll pretend I'm in Daft Punk. Bigger, stronger, do it, mix it, and whatever. But no, it adds certain dimensions to my music when I'm playing. I've not really got into anything else on there yet. I've just been using it exclusively for the vocoder. I'm not a very good menu diver. I get lost, which is why I prefer the Presonus Studio 1 or DAW in general. Up until this year though, I was only using DAW really to drag and drop. I'd not integrated musical equipment into there. Now I've got my head around that. Like I said, I am recording very slowly. However, as this one was my first CLOWNFEST, I wanted to try and keep it simple, mainly because I'm playing live for 18 minutes for the first time, and I don't really want to bugger that up. But yeah, PreSonus as well. I don't know if it's a good piece of software or not, because it's the one I use. I bought it because it came with speakers and an audio box. I expect there's probably better software out there, but this one is pretty adequate for what I need at the moment. I don't really jump into there that much. I just like dragging my tracks on and playing. Let me see if I can do anything. No, there's nothing loaded up, unfortunately. But anyway, that's it. That's my studio tour. It's a studio tour before the studio tour, a kind of faux studio tour. But regardless, that's it. This is Leroy Marsh in the cellar. Good night.
Great, crazy camera work, and that's kind of what I expected from Leroy. Beautiful tour, Leroy, and a great debut for CLOWNFEST. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but he was the one that had the straps on his arms, and he was like, "Oh, I wanted to do like a puppet on a string thing, but it just makes me look like a gimp." And I'm like, "No, it works," and and so yeah. Beautiful tour from you, Leroy. Thank you very much for showing us around your kit. For some reason, all of the animals are in my room right now. It's ridiculous. Pudge is over here, who hates being picked up massively. Dog is over here. And Eric and Kenny are by the bitch in the corner. Okay, so we have one more tour coming up next. And that is from Mind Manipulation Music. So take it away. This one's only 4 minutes long.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Mindman Industries headquarters, where all the magic happens. It's not exciting as you might think. So let me just turn around and show you what we've got over here, okay? One moment, please. Okay, let's start at the business end, which is my desk area, where most of the action happens. So I've got 3 screens. 1, 2, 3. 2 sets of monitors, white ones and some some black ones. I use the Rocket 6s as my main reference monitors, and these are just for A to B comparisons. USB microphone there for some stuff, some padding, some cork back there. Nothing major. I don't play music very loud because I've got neighbors. On this end here is the percussion station, which also runs Logic on a Mac Mini. That's over there. And this is a new thing that I've set up with this Donner plastic thing. It's really cool. The pads are sensitive, so you can go soft and loud, which is really nice. It's got pedals, so you can be like train drums and stuff. I just use it MIDI out straight into Logic. I built my kits around it. Boom, it's really cool because you can do the articulation with the open and closed hat, which is pretty cool with the pedal, and that translates into MIDI, so you can then use that technique to open and close your hats with sample selection in the sampler or whatever. Yeah, so I've got another keyboard here, Fatar Master keyboard, the Studio 610. God knows how many octaves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 octaves. Velocity sensitive, aftertouch, pitch mod, modulation wheel, pretty basic general MIDI keyboard. Super cheap. I bought this for 20 quid off some guy who probably stole it from school. And I use an Oxygen 25 as my normal MIDI controller. Pull it out and I assign my knobs to this one. Here I've got that. Yeah, the velocity on this one is way better than that one, so this is for more refined stuff. If I'm just hashing out bass or whatever, I'll use this keyboard. Then I've got my little mixing thingy. You've seen that sound card. It's a simple Native Instruments complete two I think, complete 6 audio 6. Yeah, 6 inputs. Some of them digital, so they don't count. So you really just got like 2 inputs and outputs. But that is enough for that. I need to get a sound card for this one. I'm just running off the onboard sound card, which could use a bit more gain on a professional sound card. Then I got the lights and cameras for YouTube streaming. Mainly drone video repairs and stuff that I used to do. Haven't done any this summer, this year yet. Now I can do DJ streams. Yeah, so I've got all this set up. I can just pull it down. I've got the video light over here. And that's pretty much it. The rest comes down into Logic, which I guess I could show you a couple of things. This is me editing the video. A little bit of videoception. So yeah, I can. No, I'm not gonna. I don't want to show you Logic. I got to record you a proper video of Logic. I don't record more Logic stuff because I can't get the audio out of Logic into the stream. There's no virtual adapters that work besides the Serato one. The Serato allows the Serato sound to come out of a virtual thingy, but I can't assign that to Logic to output audio to OBS. So because you can't do like in Windows that thing where you tell it to record everything it hears. Macs can't do that. So yeah. So let me just flip this around. Hello. So that's about it for the tour. I hope you enjoyed it, and hope you keep on listening and subscribing. Please go subscribe to my channel. All of you are watching and listening. Nobody subscribed. I've had 35 subscribers for the last 4 months. So please, if you enjoy this and you want to learn more maybe, or listen to my lovely tunes, go subscribe there. Thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Okay, so that was my manipulation. I'm on a different microphone now, so it might sound a little bit weird out there. Let me just mute that and go here and hope that you can all see me. No. I mean, I knew that was going to happen. Okay, so first off, I want to thank everybody. Oh, I'm going to have to get rid of that. Hold on. It's this one, I think. No, it's not this one. No. That one. There we go. Okay, so I want to thank everybody involved in the studio tour day. It is one of my favorite days. You get to see the person behind what we hear, and that's what we want. So I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of my rig. Hold on. There we go. Turn that off. That sounds much better now. That doesn't sound like I'm in a hall. The reverb has been turned off. Okay, so yeah, thanks everybody. One of my favorite days. You get to see who's behind the music, you get to hear them, you get to see them, and you get to see a little bit more of their studio space. Now, I've done a studio tour countless times, and I've done loads of talks and stuff. Oh, damn. And that's how they usually go. Let's just pop this that way a bit. There we go. And stick this in my pocket so that I don't stand on it again. Okay, so I'm just going to do you a very, very quick rundown of what I have. All started with the EMX. Shush now. All started with the EMX 20 years ago. That is my first piece of kit. And she sounds... I mostly do the drums from the EMX. Give that a bit more volume. There you go, that's better. Mostly have the drums coming from the AMX and a couple of different patterns. Like that. She's also got some what's the word I'm looking for here? Hats and stuff come out of it, but they come out of the EMX into the TR8, and the sound comes out of there. I've also got the TR8 sounds in there, so just to add percussion to what's going on the EMX. The EMX also runs through the Sherman filter bank, which sounds like... Oh yeah! Let me just get rid of the rest of this gash going on around the edge. There we go. So that's the Sherman filter bank. And she just adds some harmonics to the kicks. and the EMX is the heart of my kit, and she sends time clock to everything and MIDI notes to the base station 2. The recent addition is the MPC 1. So I can now add shuffles along with my hats and stuff. And other various samples. Okay, so the EMX handles the drums and some of the percussion. That's the Sherman filter bank making an absolute noise there. So we'll just turn that off for a minute. So yeah, the EMX handles the drums, a little bit of percussion, the TR8 backs up that percussion, and the MPC1 now does the shuffles and stuff. So I can now get loops into the beast without any issue. I was doing it with the SP555, but it meant I had to sacrifice 2 lines on the EMX to do that, and that was a real pain in the ass. I also tried the 707, but she failed miserably. I can load up 128 breakbeat samples, 4-bar breakbeat samples, and the MPC goes, "You got any more?" I could load 14 4-bar loops up to the 707. She went, "I can't do any more," and that was really, really annoying. I hope the sound is good out there, because I can't really watch the chat as I'm doing this. So yeah, so the MPC backs up the EMX, and the TR8 backs up both of those as well. So Sherman, really add some punch to it. That's a bit loud. Hold on, let me come down a bit. There we go. I suppose next we should talk about the MX1s. I've got 2 MX1s. I did have 3 in the rig at one point. This one does all of the percussion, and this one does all of the synth lines. So let's give you some synth lines. This is the base station 2, and she goes through a distortion unit, the Torpedo. Oh, that should be patch 11. There we go. This is what the Zoxbox sounds like. This is what the Zoxbox sounds like with a kick. The Zoxbox has got a split line, or some people call it parallel lines, depending on how you want to call it. This goes through the Matthias Soccer distortion pedal. Now we sound good. We got a cat as well. No, Eric, no. Okay. And what else we got here? So the Zoxbox has 2 lines. Next one is the TD3. And she sends MIDI to the MC09. So they're both playing the same line. I did test this audio before and it seemed to be fine. Now it seems to be distorting a lot. There we go again. Stop it. Anyway. So they both play the same line. There you go, that's more of a TV line. So that's what the MC09 sounds like on our own. But yeah, they're both playing the same line though. And we still have a fucking cat. Eric, go away! Stop it! Go away! We don't have time for Kit Kats at the moment. Okay, so that brings me to the bottom row here, which is all being fed off of the TB03. That's the TB03. This is the TB3. And again, the TB03 sends MIDI to the TB3, so I can control it all via this one. And then an audio line comes out of the TB03 and goes into the VT3, which is a vocal transformer, and a memory man delay pedal. The only reason I'm using the VT3 is to get it into one of the Era Link USB ports, because they only support Era Link, which is really fucking annoying. So that's what this sounds like. Whoa, I've created an acid monster. That's it, fall off, wreck my kit. What is your problem, cat? Go away. I mean, you couldn't make this shit up, could you? You just couldn't. So altogether, those three lines sound like this. It can get mental. So that's the original line. And this is why I always say, like, process. That sounds really naive to me. Really, really naive. It's just straight down the middle acid. I mean, it's fine, but it's just straight down the middle acid. Then you add the TB3. And then you had the... Let's put a kick drum behind it. Let's add some percussion from the TR8. Let's add the MPC1. Let's stick the TD3 in over that. Let's add the Zox box. Can't really hear that. put the bass station in. There's a Sherman chuntering away. Let's just turn you off. And then I use the SP555 for long vocal samples. I've no idea what I've loaded in, so nothing, obviously. Oh, why is that? There we go. These are actually the samples that I used about 13 years ago when I first got the 555 and put them in. And the 555 goes through a mini chaos pad, so let's just rock that up to the BPM it needs to be. Find the FX that I want. Phaser delay, there we go. Put the hold on it. Sorry if the levels are all over the place. I literally had about 10 minutes before we went on air to do this. So yeah, there's that, there's the Sherman chuntering away. And then last, well, no, actually not last, I have a, what is this? It's an ultragraph. So the kicks run through this channel, and I've pulled out the bass a little bit and kicked them up at about 1K, just to give them a little punch. And then this whole MX1 runs through line number 2, and I've just lifted the mids on them because in the past my kicks have been way too big and I haven't had a lot of mid-range going on. So yeah, so that's what I did with that. So yeah, the kick, just the kick drum goes through this first line, not the Sherman. The Sherman has its own line here, chuntering away. And then this whole thing goes through this one so that I could just lift the mids a little bit because of my mids were lacking a little bit. So that's what I did with that. And then literally the last thing in the line is, so this MX1 goes into this MX1, and then this MX1 comes out into 3 chaos pads. Why? I'll show you. So I can scratch hardware. One is set to 1/3 of the BPM, and the other one is MIDI locked to the actual BPM, so you get this kind of sound. And the final one is locked to the BPM as well, so we can do stuff like this. I actually think I've got them in the wrong order. I think this one needs to be after this one, but I did a rewire the other day, and it's been such a long time since I've actually played with the kit that I couldn't remember which way round I had them. So yeah, but there's loads of effects on here. So that's my studio tour, and you put them all together and they kind of sound a little like this. And that's how you do it. Shush, Sherman, shush. Sounds like we've got some... Yep, there we go. So that was my studio tour. Just wanted to give you a quick rundown of what's happened over the past sort of year. Physically, she's gig ready, but she only has 2 tracks in her, and you can tell that my levels are so off. You know, you could barely hear the kick at one point. Okay, so Jesus Christ, 2 hours and 45 minutes. I thought it was only going to be a 2-hour show. Fucking hell, how long have I been talking for? Okay, so I'm off. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you this evening. I'm going to leave you with the Matt Techno Cock remix of Granny's Fanny. And yeah, I'm off to fuck my girlfriend. So I hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening. Join me tomorrow. Oh, wait a sec. I haven't finished. Join me tomorrow for the sample challenge. We kick off at 7:30 again. Hopefully it's going to be a 2-hour show. Not too sure. A lot of people still to get their tracks in. I've still got to do my track. Mine is on Ableton. I may sequence it and put a track in, or I may do it live. I'm unsure at the moment. But yeah, thank you all for joining me this evening. The studio tour is one of my favourite days because we get to meet everybody and see who they are and what they've got. Synthetic was a massive shock to me. It really, really was. Ron Mark Peters, his studio is fucking absolutely amazing. Really enjoyed the web. They put a lot of humour into their stuff. And yeah, so I'll leave you with Granny's Fannies, as I'm about to... Yeah, well, you don't really need to know that, do you? And I'll see you tomorrow at 7:30.
Okay, now that we're almost good, right? Well, that's, going to be it from me. This is the last one. And it's a good old favourite of mine and Mark's and everybody's, by the sounds of it, you dirty bastards. And it's a bit of a techno touch on the old Granny's Fannies. So, let's take it away. Granny's Fannies, I love them. Ooh, oxygenating folds, Granny's Fannies, ooh, so you can get right inside. It's gotta be over 60. Granny's Fannies, I love them. Oxygenarian folds. Granny's Fannies, ooh, so you can get right inside. They've gotta be over 60. You're gifted, you're intelligent, you're lovely, and you're fun. But you're garish, you're an idiot, you're lacking in fluent, and you're flatulent. I wish you would have went down the front as well at the back, I'll tell you that one. I'll tell you that. Granny's Fannies, I love them. Oxygen info. Granny's Fannies, ooh, so I can get right inside. It's gonna be over 60. Granny's Fannies, I love them. Get right inside that party.
Might be a bit dry and you might have to spit on it, but yeah. Might be a bit dry and you might have to spit on it, but yeah.
It's gonna be over 60. 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 Well, I think we've set the standard there. And I hope the rest of this festival is a lot fucking better. Musically and content-wise than what we have witnessed here in this last 15-20 minutes, because that was horrendous. And if I have offended anybody, then you can fuck off, because I don't care. Enjoy. endeth the extravaganza of techno by a gay club owner from the north of England who likes pigeons, greyhounds, gambling, women, men, boys, and anything with a hole. So, thank you for listening. Goodbye.